Hi, everybody from INA DAO and anybody else that's watching. We're here today with Alissa Christine, or Lover Worldwide. And she is one of the recipients of the INA DAO Super Powers project and has the exhibition right now in Crypto Voxels, or Voxels as it's now called, and Near Hub. So we're just going to ask you a couple of questions, I guess, basically about your background and how you got into making art, and we'll continue from there. So maybe just tell us a little bit about your background.
Okay, let's see. I have been doing virtual reality art for the past, well, since 2018. January 2018 is when I started doing VR, and that began as a performance. So I started doing VR performance art before I did anything else in VR. I was invited to participate in an art festival and do a live painting on the stage during the opening event, which was a complete unexpected. I had no idea what I was going to be doing. I had 2 weeks to prepare, and just it all worked out. And that was in Costa Rica, and that was very cool. And my prior art art experiences have been really related to photography and of all kinds, fine art. I've done a lot of different projects. I did my own book, I Love Miami 365, where I took photos every day for a year. Hopefully soon that will be an NFT project. I'm working on getting that out there, but it's a lot of work. It's 365 images or plus, so I'm still developing what is the roadmap for that one. But in any case, I was doing VR photography. I've been doing photography since the 90s, basically. And I have a combination of almost all other skills, between photographic performance with live performance and shooting with crazy, wild things happening live on during events, and painting, watercolor, mandala making, and I'm also very focused on the healing arts. So that's what drives most of my art creations, is helping people see the light, to help people see the light, because you're just immersed in light.
And how did you get into Web3 and NFTs and all of that kind of stuff?
So the VR was my gateway into Web3 because I hadn't really been so technical. The thing is, I was on a digital detox when I got into VR. So it's kind of like, it was just a very unexpected change in my path at that time, but it was very exciting because when I started VR, it was just so amazing to see the healing properties that I could manifest with creating the art pieces in that way. So I went for it. But so in any case, so starting with VR, I became more connected with Discord groups and meeting people online more so even before pandemic started. And I was involved in a lot of those communities, especially with the VR being so new. People were really connecting to relate on how to create things, and we were doing community events, and some people in that group were involved in crypto, and they were like, hey, there's a new all women's crypto artist collective coming up, and if you want to, not coming up, but they're joining forces, and they've created a new Discord group if you want to join. So that's when I found Woka, and that's when I connected with you and everyone else, and that was the beginning of everything with the She Art Festival. So my first exhibit was the She Art with Woka, and my Genesis NFT was created for that event. So it's just, we all evolved from there.
So So you did this project for INA DAO Superpower, INA DAO Support Your Superpowers 3. And so could you tell us a little bit about your project and how it got started and what motivated you and things like that?
Yeah, and thank you so much for that grant boost funding to help me get that along. I'm working on the Mystic Mycelia project, right? So that's what's on display. And that is one of my new meditation journey babies with the VR. And it's intended to be a 360 video, and also would be great to have it as a VR gaming kind of experience, interactive experience in VR, so that you can also experience it in virtual reality. And so with the INA DAO funding, I was able to move along a lot better with that project, getting it closer to the 360 video form. So in the exhibit, you'll see the 2D form, and it's mushrooms and portals that take you into different dimensions to explore. It's about exploration and self-discovery. So when I do my guided meditations, I help people reflect and even sometimes set intentions. It's just about checking in and giving you different stimulation to see and hear, and that helps enliven the mind so that you have just different, some people have challenges with their imagination and with their creation and exploration. So this is more to help stimulate that process. And it's a journey in VR. So there's all kinds of mushrooms that are super tall, and you're a little, I don't know, you're just a little thing. Some of the parts, there's some fireflies in there. So it makes you feel like you're a firefly floating through the space. There's other animals like a snake, a crystal garden. There's a portal with lots of eyeballs that can reflect in, and you can eye gaze and connect with I just love creating different experiences. So you're in one place and then all of a sudden you're immersed in this other area. So my paintings are like that. And that was a lot of fun to create and really help get that project moving along, because there's a lot of parts, right? With every project, especially in tech, there's the pre-production, creation, testing, especially with VR, and then post-production. So yeah, this is definitely, it's getting closer to being a completed journey. So yeah, that's the Mystic Mycelia. And there's some 2D videos on YouTube that can be viewed. And the intention is that eventually it'll be a 360 video where you can span it around and see it all around you.
So you were talking about these guided meditations. If I wanted to have a guided meditation from you, what would that how would that look like? What would you do? Would I have to get VR glasses or something? Like how do your guided meditations work?
So currently I have been doing them in two ways. You can be inside the VR watching the movie of the 360 video, right? So it could be one-on-one or in a group. And I have the audio, so it could be my voice embedded into the VR experience, or it could be just the sounds, and then I'm live giving the virtual reality experience. So the other plan is that to do it in a metaverse where we're all immersed in the experience, and then I'm live sharing the guided meditation, providing with the audio is there. So imagine you're going into any metaverse, and so the world is built, so it's just like a 3D environment. We can, I'm hoping to do it in Monaverse, and then also it could be in VR chat. With Monaverse, it gives me the opportunity to also mint it. So the idea is that we can all get together in a metaverse of some kind and be in our avatars. So you don't have to be in VR and you could still explore the immersive experience. Some of those metaverses are in virtual reality, so you can put the headset on and get in there. So there's, a few ways to experience it. With the headset, you can either see it as a video and you can be anywhere and it'll be a solo experience because it'll just be you and the video. And then you can also explore it interactively. I'm repeating just to kind of simplify it in the end. And then sometimes I do one-on-one experiences where I put the headset on the person and I'm just there. It's just me and the person and I guide them through the artwork. And those are really nice because every time I do a personal experience, it's different because it's really related and connected to where that person is and what their intentions are also, because sometimes I'll do a little consultation beforehand, an assessment, see where people are, what they're looking to achieve, or if maybe they just want relaxation or they're looking to get inspiration for a new project. Everyone has a different intention, for the experience. And so I'll take some of that and interweave it into their guided meditation. So it's a lot of fun. And I could do an event, for example, and have a pop-up where different people come in and everyone will come out talking about the same environment, but having a completely different experience. So it's really cool.
So how did you come up with the idea of using mycelia?
It had a combination of inspirations. First, it's a piece of nature. And I like to create natural environments and subjects when I'm painting in VR. And I love to see how it can come alive with the light and the animation. With the program this one was created in Tilt Brush. So it has the ability to animate and connect with the audio. So it's audio reactive. So it's really cool to see how things can move within the VR space and the VR experience. Additionally, mycelia and mushrooms have healing qualities and properties. It's like I just gloss over that because I feel like everybody knows that. But just
No,
to
everybody
include,
doesn't know that.
It definitely can help expand our awareness and presence. And one of the things I really often receive as far as feedback is that my experiences feel like everyone asks, what is it like to be on mushrooms or this, and when you're in there, because people say it's like a mushroom trip. So that I felt I had to create one because all my experiences are drug-free journeys. They're all trips. The mushroom's just perfect for that.
So how, VR is still pretty new and a lot of people don't really, know much about it, or they haven't experienced it because, you have to get the headphones or the headset and all of that kind of stuff to even, and if you're a Mac owner, then it's even less likely that you're going to use VR because Mac doesn't really have that.
Until next year, it's coming.
Oh, okay.
It's coming. Yeah, they're working on it. Hopefully it'll be better than everything else that's out there. We'll see.
So yeah, so
change.
I guess my question is, I mean, you're doing something, you're making art in a medium that isn't really well known and is difficult a lot of times for people to access it. What do you see the future like? Do you think that this will catch on and more people will start experiencing it, and especially with the kind of stuff you do, which is more meditative and healing and art oriented, and not like a game where people are running around shooting each other and stuff like that. So in terms of VR and art and meditation, what do you see the future being like?
Those are all great topics and questions, because it's true. One of my primary challenges when I started was sharing it with people. And how do people buy it, right? You're creating this work. And so I have consistently been focusing on how to bridge that gap. And one of the main ways that has been helpful for me is the 360 video, because it's accessible on YouTube. So at least people can see my art in 360. And I have my first, it's so crazy. I've been doing this since over 5 years. And I had my first 360 video released over the summer last year. So that was a huge accomplishment, because it was a commission for a band. It wasn't exactly meditative, although there's threads of my styling in there. It's about it's a journey between a romance, and it's about love and heartache. And so there's hearts, and you're in a journey of this. It's kind of like emotional roller coaster ride. Anyway, it's by a band, Love Crushed Velvet. It's available. You can see it on YouTube. It's called Saddened Eyes. And so that was something I had been working towards for a long time. With lack of resources and lots of things going on during the pandemic, I had a lot of challenges and limitations to get things out. So finally, that getting out has then now opened more doors for me to share the pieces in that way. It's something tangible now. And the other thing that has also helped with the VR is creating pieces that are visible in augmented reality. So on my business card, for example, and I've also done some exhibits where I have a 2D piece, still image of my artwork, and then the AR will show a video of what it's like to journey inside. So people just, wow, they wake up and they get to see what that really is. And some of my crypto art mints are also AR. So it's great because you can see it and then you can take the journey, seeing it on your screen even. And some of the AR pieces are also 3D. So they would pop out. And so like I could put the flower anywhere on the beach or, geolocate it. There's one that is hanging. There's a flower with a butterfly that was also part of a guild collab. And that's in front of where the NFC conference is in Lisbon. It was last year. I planted it there in AR. And so some people were able to view it, and you can, walk around the piece. So that's another way that people can see and interact with it. I had also created some metaverses. So when Altspace was around, this is great. We're talking about history already. Altspace is no longer a metaverse that's active, but I had some worlds in there where people could actually go and experience the world. So another one of my NFTs, the horse part, which is part of a guild collab as well. It was part of the year of the ox, which was a huge project. So my contribution is a still image on the ox collective collab piece, and then I created a bonus. So that bonus was a whole, I had to create the whole horse and a world to get a picture of it to put it in the collab. So I embellished the world and I put it into Altspace. It's no longer in Altspace, but there's a very good possibility that I can put it in another metaverse. So it's just about getting it connected to different viewing applications or environments. So I've done a pretty good job at trying to get my pieces in different realms. Additionally, crypto art has really helped because that is a venue for sales, right? It was very, very challenging to try to get the galleries to understand how to present the VR, how to show it. And then pandemic hit and nobody wanted to touch the headset or share it. So it was like, everything just went. So things a little bit better now, but yeah, and then also performance art. So people could see me performing and painting live on the spot. And typically what I would do with the performances is paint and have it shown on a screen. And then so the people in the audience could see it as it's being created. And I've done some interesting performances with that. Like I've even done a live I have a live meditation painting creation. So it's very chill and relaxed, and there's like a dinner theater. And so I could be painting and just doing a meditative process. And I've also done some fun things where it's like at South by Southwest in the dome. So you got to see the art in the 360 dome, which was really my favorite. You know, I'd love to do more of those. So anybody who's listening who has a dome, that's another dream. Is just so much more fun because you could see the art similar to how it is in the VR. I mean, you had at least most of it in the dome. So it's challenging, although I think, you know, things are catching up. And I have to say that I'm very grateful. Lately, people have been reaching out to me a little bit more. So I think the mainstream is starting to catch up, even though, you know, even though the actual VR hasn't advanced so much, but I guess just through time, I don't want to say it hasn't advanced. It has advanced. But I mean, I'm waiting for the Apple Pro. Like, that's going to be a whole different advancement. So within where we've been, people, I think, are just getting used to it better.
So can you tell people who don't know much about VR and AR, what is the difference between the two?
Yeah, everybody gets those confused. And so VR is virtual reality. So virtual reality typically is experienced when you have the entire headset on and it blocks out anything else around you so that you're completely immersed in the space and you see everything as a 360. So you see, for example, in my painting, you can be inside of a, you know, the mystic mycelia is a log, that you're inside of this log with all of these different things in it. So when you walk around, you can literally walk around or fly through the space and you're in there, as long as you have a clear area to walk in your physical location. So that's VR. Now, AR can be in different realms. So it could be where it's an augmented, right? AR is augmented reality. So augmented can be, for example, my business card. If you go to my Instagram page, I have some showings of how the AR looks. You hold up your phone just like you scan a QR code, and then you scan the image that I have, which is a piece of art, a piece of the VR piece that I make. It's a still image of that. And the AR through your phone has an app or an app ability, right? There's many different apps that can do it, that will convert that image into something that's moving or into 3D. And your phone is the device that's translating the augmented reality. Okay. And now a lot of people have seen movies and things where there's glasses, for example, there are AR glasses, augmented reality glasses. And what that does is you don't need your phone. So you can look at different things, and people, you know, could drive in a car and the map can appear in their eyes, you know, or on their lens screen, and shows them which way to go. That's an augmentation of reality. So anything that's kind of, I guess, a digital interface between you and the real world. The cool thing is that you can see the real world as well as something else in it that has been added, augmented. The new glasses, the headset that's coming out now, they are goggles. It's a headset that you can actually see through. It's a big headset similar to a VR headset, but you can see through the thing. So you can see your whole room, and then you could play a movie inside of there, but you still see your room. So it's a combination of, it's a different interface. So those are the differences between, you know, with AR. I mean, there's lots, we could go in more detail, but I think that pretty much helps sum it up. Gives a good idea.
And then you also mentioned, I mean, we talked about AR and VR, but you also mentioned sort of the immersive experiences you can get in the metaverse as well, right? So how does that kind of work?
Okay, so a metaverse, and I like to explain this as far as, so everyone's familiar with a video game, yeah? Like some kind of web-based, you could be on your computer, right? Or on your phone, and you play a game. and you go wandering through different rooms or you go through a forest. So people are familiar with navigating through any type of a space. It's like you're playing a cartoon game, right? Some of them are more realistic, some of them are more photographic. So the metaverse is simply that. Now, the difference, I don't know if it's at a difference because possibly, you know, SimCity, right? That's a metaverse. So some of the metaverses, you know, they're just worlds to explore that you can navigate yourself through. And some of them are accessible on the desktop, on the phone, and on virtual reality. So you have the ability to experience them in multiple ways. And there's many metaverses that have multiple ways of experiencing them. You know, not all of them are accessible in every format. Some are just in VR, some are just on desktop, for example.
So I guess one of my last questions to you would be, or, you know, what kind of advice would you give a young female oriented artist who's wanting to get into, you know, not only Web3, but they're interested in virtual reality and the kind of stuff that you do? What would be your advice to them?
That's always a tough question. I would say patience is very important. I mean, in everything you do, patience is very important because there's a lot of details and it can get complex and confusing quickly, especially, you know, VR, for example, has so many dimensions to it, technically, not only in creation form. And I'm technically capable, right? But I'm not a technical guru. I mean, I ask everybody everything. So that's another thing. Probably, you know, don't be afraid to ask for help or to ask questions because the community is, I found it's very helpful with VR and also with crypto and Web3. So, you know, it's a very new environment. Sure, there's people who've been doing it a lot longer than you have if you're starting now. I felt that way when I first started, like, oh, all these people are already so amazing at it. I'm just starting. I don't even know what I'm doing. So, but there's room for everybody, right? How long has oil painting been going on? And who knows what other technology is going to come up after that? And the technology is always changing. So another word of advice, you know, look how the answers keep coming, is flexibility, right? Flexibility and the ability to learn more because it doesn't stop. It's like I I have been saying since I started VR and then also with the Web3 is that it's like you feel like you've got it all figured out and you're like, I'm just gonna coast and do this and I'll be good for a little while, but man, then a new something comes out and you got to figure it all out again, or something goes out, right? Things get, not like to say canceled, but things just stop working, or the companies stop offering the equipment or the software. And then we're like, okay, that was working great. Now what do we do? So it's been challenging. So I would say, you know, have a lot of patience and get ready to put the time in. It's really it's time extensive, especially if it's something that you really want to do and you really want to get good at it. But I mean, at the same time, right, if you want to learn piano, you know, it's a commitment. You want to you put your attention to it, and that's how you get better at anything, really. So it can just be daunting because for me, especially, the technical part is just I have to take a lot of meditation moments, and that's why I like to share that with everyone as much as I can because I need it, you know. So that's my way to get through things.
interesting, like merging meditation and a technical thing like that. Like, you know, usually people think of meditation as something that you go off in a quiet, dark room with no outside interference. But it's really interesting to, you know, there are like visual meditations and stuff like that. You know, there's all different kinds of meditations, but it's not that common yet to have this kind of immersive meditation. And I can see that it could be something really interesting. You know, once more people adapt to it, it would be something very interesting. And I think it can expand a lot. I think what you're doing is really great, especially I don't know, like you know, like the tech world is, you know, balanced towards the men, but there are a lot more women entering the space and changing it. So I think it's really great what you're doing. And I just wanted, first of all, I want to tell everybody who's watching that I'm going to put in the description below some of the links that Alissa mentioned. And we just have a few minutes left. So I just wanted to ask you if there's anything else you wanted to say that I didn't ask you about, or have some final comments or something like that.
Well, for sure, please reach out if you have questions, especially if you're looking to get involved more into the space, the community. There are places I can direct people to. And I do educational seminars and workshops and things online. I have a few that are coming up. I do Web3 basics, so that helps people get on board with the NFT and the art, and also virtual reality basic things. I mean, it's a little bit easier to be in person with that. However, you know, I can help guide with that as well. And I'm happy. I'm looking forward right now to a solidification of a new commission that's coming up. I don't want to talk too much about it, but I'm happy about that. It'll be another VR meditative video. And with the meditations, I like to also, I use the term meditations, so more of a meditative storytelling experience, similar to, like you're saying, you know, people think of meditation in a very quiet, silent space. And so this is more of a space that you'll actually be enlivened. However, the key to meditation, right, is blocking out the noise, right? So whether it's in a quiet room with nothing and blackouts, or there's some sound, or even if you're doing mantra, one of the key intentions is just being present in that moment. And so what the experience in that VR tends to do is you just forget about everything else, and you're just in this state of wonder, you know? So it just allows people to relax more. So yeah, the meditations are definitely helpful.
Okay, great. I know we're just about to run out of time. So again, I want to thank you. And
Thank
we're
you.
going to put the links down below. Visit her installation in Voxels or Near Hub. Those links will be there too. Brought to you by INA DAO. And thank you so much for doing this. We really appreciate it.
I appreciate